Hello, all. This is Anil Nadiminti. I'm your host for the AWS Show and Tell. Welcome to another episode on the AWS Show and Tell. I'm joined here by Lana Zhang. Lana, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lana Zhang. I'm a senior solutions architect from AWS Worldwide Specialist Org, Bedrock Specialist team, focus on audio agent, including Nova Sonic. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Folks in the chat, let us know where you're joining from. And we are going to have, today's session is going to focus on voice agents, right? So we've all been chatting about, discussing about agentic AI, being able to use large language models and get to see the power of those agents in action using probably text chatbots as of now, but Lana here is going to dive deep into Nova Sonic model. This is the new version Nova 2 Sonic model that was launched. We had a prior episode on the previous version of Nova Sonic, and in today's episode, Lana is going to show us the capabilities of the voice chatbot, speech to speech models that are out there and the real time capabilities. So we're going to dive deep into that, right? So let us know where you're joining from. We'll be looking at the chat, and let's get started, Lana.
Thank you. Yeah. Right. So on the slide, we have a few key metrics I'm going to show, and then show you a quick demo how Nova Sonic sounds like.
Yeah, it's all
For
about the
Mhm.
demo and being able to show this in action. So we have a lot of action-packed content. Again, we'll try to cover this in one episode, but if we need to have more content out there, then we'll definitely do another follow-up series. So what's about Nova Sonic model, Lana? So can you give a dive deep into this?
Absolutely. For audience not familiar with Nova Sonic, Nova is Amazon's foundation model. Nova Sonic is a foundation model for voice chat. So it supported the real-time streaming live chat, offers a real-time streaming interface. Basically, between your application and the Nova Sonic, you will issue a persistent connection, and we are streaming the events back and forth utilizing the streaming interface. And then language-wise, is supported by version 2 announced during reInvent December 2025. It's currently supporting seven languages, including the popular Western languages, and there will be more APAC languages coming soon.
So I
And
got a
then,
question for you there, Lana,
mhm.
on the language support, right? So I saw the Novasonic videos, and the Novasonic agent can at the same time respond back, in the same conversation in multiple languages, right? So can you speak about that?
Yeah, so the new languages will, sorry, just one second.
Yeah,
Checking the notes in uh, the comments come from the user. Yeah,
yeah,
so the language support wise, we have the English, Spanish, French, Italian, German, Spanish, Portuguese, and Hindi. And then there will be more APAC languages such as Chinese, Japanese, and Korean available in the short term. And then
excellent.
for each voice, we will have multiple. Each languages will we have multiple language voice IDs available in, for example, male, female. And there's a new feature for available in the version 2, which is expressive voice, and also allowing you multilingual voice switching, allow you to in the same conversation or even in the same sentence switching in between different languages. For example, while you're having a Spanish voice ID, having conversation in Spanish, you can switch to English and it's able to understand and respond gracefully
Within the same conversation, right? So think
with.
of having multiple speakers in a conversation speaking different languages. So Novasonic can speak to both the speakers at the same time in two different languages in the same conversation. That's actually amazing to feature that we can see, right? So pushing
Yeah,
the
that's multi speaker will be a feature on the roadmap. So for now, you can have one-to-one conversation with Noah Sonic, but like you mentioned, if you have like for example two speaker getting closer to the microphone and talk in the same at the same time, and then you're able to switch languages, those type of scenario because Noah Sonic is more like a voice agent having a one-on-one conversation. Um, And then there's more agentic feature, which is very critical for building a voice agent. For example, the to-use function calling, right? So because you can have a very smooth conversation with the voice agent, but you need to extend its capability through two calls, right? So for example, in a contact center, you need to authenticate the user provide their account ID. So you call your own API, you call your own RAG or a sub agent to authenticate the user. So that will be handled as a two call managed by Sonic.
Hmm.
In version 2, there is a new feature referring as asynchronous to calling. So basically, the to call sometimes can take longer, right? So depend on your system processing time. For example, a call a database, which is in nature respond slower. For example, it take 20 seconds to respond um, to a to call, which is my account balance, right? So just an example, and then Sonic able to processing this to asynchronously. So while it's waiting for the response come back, the user still can having conversation on the main thread with Sonic. So that is a new feature available in version 2.
Excellent.
Yeah, let's do a quick demo, right? So to
Yeah,
just look,
let's look at this in action. I know some of our viewers are asking us to see this in action right now, and then maybe we can come back to the rest of
yeah,
the chat.
let's do a quick demo. So and then we can come back to the feature request, so it make more sense. So it's an oversimplified demo. I will just show you using the default voice ID, which is English Mail Matthew. And then I'm about to show you a few basic feature. You might see it in the previous demo. So like barge in during a conversation, how you interrupt. So and Sonic can switch to a different topic, and also like to use, right? I will ask a simple question, which is current system time. The model foundation model itself doesn't know, so it trigger a tool and then get a system time from the application and then respond to the user. So that will be a simple one. And then followed by that, I will also show you asynchronous to call.
So barging in is a
Mhm.
great feature, right? Because that's part of our normal conversations, right? We're talking at the same time, but we also try to barge in and then ask questions, right? So maybe I'm asking about a credit card transaction and say, "Hey, I have more details," right? So that's and you interrupt the conversation, right? So Nova Sonic is pretty good at uh, those barging in capabilities, and we'll see this in action right now. All right, over to you, Lana. So I know you have the voice demo, so I'll not interrupt you there.
Yeah, no problem. So it's yeah, barge in is a critical feature for voice, human-like voice conversation. Um, Hello, Nova. So we see how it happens. So let me give me. So one of the feature available in the Nova tool is direct text input. So you
Mhm.
can send in text message directly to Nova Sonic. So for example, I can say hello.
I understand you mentioned that the Nova 2 allows direct text input, so you can send text messages directly to Nova Sonic. That is indeed a useful feature for interacting with the device. If you have any specific questions about how to use this feature or need more details, feel free to ask.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I have a question for you. I plan to visit Japan during the summer. Do you have any recommendation?
That sounds like a great plan. Japan in the summer can
Oh,
be
I
very
changed
exciting.
my mind. I want to visit Peru instead.
That's a great choice too. Peru has beautiful landscapes and rich culture. Have you thought about which places you would like to visit there?
Uh, that's okay. Actually, do you know what time is it?
It's currently Tuesday, January 20th, 2026 at 11:39 p.m. If you need help planning your trip to Peru or anything else, just let me know.
All right, that's oversimplified the demo. I hope the voice
So yeah,
go
so
through
there's a
properly.
lot that happened there, Lana. So can we break it down, right? So I know we have a conversation on the left side, we have events going on the right side. Uh, while we know this is a demo, can you break it down to explain to our viewers what's happening in this demo?
Absolutely. So this is the demo application is designed for workshop. So it expose a lot of detail for training purpose. In the real life, you build application, you don't have to show so many details, right? So just to make it upfront. And then on the left, I'm showing all the transcriptions, like ASRs coming back from Sonic. So you can see the blue ones are the ASR of the user, like what I just said, and then the green ones are the audio respond ASR from Sonic, right? So the UI shows you the raw events. On the right-hand side of the window shows all the events going back and forth between my application and Nova Sonic. So it's highly transparent. You can see exactly what's going on under the hood. So basically, my application, when I start a conversation, is sending a series of events to Sonic. So those are the blue, purple colored events. So started with events called session start. And then you can see the inference configuration. So this is, if you're familiar with large language model, this is the same format, right? So you can define the inference configuration, like the token size, top P temperature, etc. And in version 2, we have introduced a new configuration referred as turn-taking configuration. Basically, you can customize the turn-taking managed by Nova Sonic. You want initialize the response faster versus slower. Because some conversations, sometimes, for example, you build an application, your audience are seniors, or it's for language learning. So usually you don't want it to be too aggressive. You want a Sonic initiate the response slower, so they can take time. Or on the other side, if you have a social app for younger generation, you want the response initiated faster, right? So for those type of use cases, and then there's other events, right? So we're sending in sequence. For example, this one where we're defining the audio output, right? So this is you can control the quality of audio. If you have a good bandwidth, you may want a higher sample rate, or if it's not a guaranteed of capacity, you can have a lower sample rates, and also tools, etc. We can highlight some of the events, but I won't bore you too much. So go through all the events.
I know we
one
have
by
like a
one.
couple of questions coming in, right? So one of the questions is, can you mix English and Spanish mid-sentence? I'm not familiar with Spanish here today, so I don't know if that's something that we can ask. But that's on a general question, right? So can we actually do this, right? Is this a capability that can be done today?
Yes, of course, we can do that. So Sonic allows supporting 7 languages for now, and there's more coming. And different languages, there's different voice ID. Right? So as you can see, we can choose, for example, a Spanish voice ID and do a quick test. But I'm not my Spanish is almost a 0.
Yeah.
Right? So
Okay.
I will do my best, right? And then you can use your judgment if it does a good job or not. I have no idea how if it talks good or bad. So let's use Carlos, right? And then save the setting. Hola.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿En qué puedo ayudarte hoy?
Can you translate that into English?
Sure. The translation of hola into English is hello. If you have anything else you'd like to translate or need help with, just let me know.
How to speak, say, what time is it in Spanish?
To ask what time is it, in Spanish you would say ¿qué hora es? If you need more phrases or help with Spanish, feel free to ask.
¿Qué hora es?
It looks like you might have started to say ahora es, which translates to now it is in English. If you meant to ask about the current time,
Okay,
I
you
think
can tell.
we're good
I
on the
have
demo,
I have zero capability in Spanish, but I hope you get the idea, right? So you can
Right.
easily switching languages and the same voice ID able to speak multiple languages based on your instruction, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we started a new session. So my previous session, we didn't get a chance to talk through the barge in and the to use. I will do that quickly again so we can highlight those knowledge points. Hey, Nova, what time is it?
Hey there, it's currently 11:45 p.m. on Tuesday, January 20th, 2026.
Tell me a fairy tale.
Sorry, I can't.
I don't want to. Okay, right. It's a bad one, but it shows the information we want to see, right? So one is I'm still using the same voice ID regardless which voice, which languages you're using, the to-use trigger work the same, right? So what I did was asking what time is it, because large language model itself doesn't have knowledge of time, right? So you need to get it from the system. So it either make it up or give you something random. So we have in our configuration, we have a tool configuration for the to call. So it's a simple prompt just to say during the conversation, if there's question related to the current system, time, or date, you should trigger this tool, right? So this is what happened. We highlighted this event. So when I ask question, what time is it? Sonic triggered this tool, right? So which is get date tool, the same name as we configured. And then the application, because it's listening to the events coming back and forth between Sonic and the application. So whenever there's a to-use events come back with a name get date tool, it's just one line of code is getting the system time. And then through another event is sending this current system time back to Sonic. It doesn't need to be generated. You don't have to make it a full sentence. You're just sending the raw information. In my case, it's UTC time, right? So that's why maybe the time is a little off, depends on which time zone you are in. But it just returns the raw data. And then Sonic will take in this information, combining with the context of the conversation, and then get back to me. So it shares the current time is this, right? So that's a simple use case to show how to is triggered. And you can see this is actually the integration point. Customer will ask, I want to integrate the voice agent with my RAG system, with my own API, with my function, with my sub agent, right? So all of them is done through to use. You define a trigger, and then you can invoke whatever the external data source, and then bring information back to Sonic.
Got it.
Another one was interruption, like a barge in, right? So I'm asking question, you try to lead it to a long response, and then I interrupt it, and you can see usually within 200 milliseconds, Sonic will return this interrupted signal. And in the meantime, while it's receiving the barge in, it will stop generating based on the older contact. It will start to generate response based on the newer contact, right? And then the reason it returning a barge in signal back to the client is because usually the speed of model generating audio is much faster than the client side to play it back, right? So when the barge in happened, it's likely on the client side, I already have some audio queued up, ready to play. So the client received the signal, it will pause the audio currently is playing and also clean up the queue, and then start receiving new audio. So this is a full implementation in Sonic for barge in. So you mimicking a real world interruption and a real world conversation. All right, it's a little technical detail, but usually it's valuable for users to better understand how Sonic work.
And we're getting a couple of questions on the voice support, language support, and I'm responding back in the chat here. But I mean, there are all these different capabilities, asynchronous, the conversations, and utilizing all of those capabilities. So maybe let's talk about do you have more to show on this demo, in this specific demo?
I can show a demo for asynchronous tool call if you want to see, or we can just talk through it.
Yeah, and a couple of questions are like how difficult or how easy it is to build these voice chatbot agents. So I think this is a question that is coming in the chat, but we also want to uncover, like, we have, the frameworks to be able to build these voice agents and also deploy them, right? So let's also talk about that. But yeah, if you want to show asynchronous tool calls and then jump over, we could do that.
Yeah, we will get there. So there's different ways to build the application with Nova Sonic. The one we are currently showing is the most transparent way. So you are working with the raw interface of Nova Sonic, and later we will cover the other SDK, for example, Strands Agent, newly announced the BidiAgent SDK, help you to greatly simplify the programming interface, right? So you can just write a few lines of code and have a voice agent out of the box, and also deployment, for example, deployed it to AgentCore. But let me show you quickly the asynchronous tool call. It's pretty cool. and then we
Correct.
can elaborate on the how to build application with Novasonic. So the asynchronous tool calling is 100% managed by Novasonic. So you don't need any additional implementation in your application. So the model itself managing the asynchronous process for the tool calling. And for demo purpose, we have a tool just designed for this demo. It's called a slow tool. So it just by design, this tool will take much longer than the others. So I can show you how the asynchronous tool call works. And this one is weather information. It's a weather function. Usually it's come back fast, but there's a sleep. So you wait for 20 seconds if you trigger this. If I'm asking question like how's the weather, it will take around 20 seconds to complete. So what I'm going to do is asking weather, and then I will ask a quick question like what time is it? So Sonic will respond to the second question first because it come back first, right? And then it will answer the question like related to the weather. So this is to demonstrate asynchronous tool calling.
Got
And
it.
also there's a little implementation. You can customize while the user is waiting for the Sonic is waiting for the response. It will notify the user, let me find it out for you. Or depends on your use case, you can say, I'm checking your account balance, please wait. Right, so that is a useful feature.
I love how real time
Mhm.
these conversations are with the agent, and in this example that Lana is showing us, uh, although the time asking time and getting it back is a very quick process. Imagine that we are doing the same with a different process that will take a long time, right? So we're
Mhm,
simulating an
mhm.
example here which will take a long time. While we're waiting, we don't want to we want to probably respond back to other questions that user is asking, right? So is that how we're going to do this, Donna?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's
Mhm.
a generic demo. Make
Right.
up like weather and time, but depends on the industry. For example, customer service for banking. So when you're placing, make some change, the system may take some time, and in the meantime, you still can having conversation with the agent to manage the other task.
So very
Right.
much
So,
naturally how
mhm.
we do these conversations with the customer service agents, where they're updating the backend system and
Mm,
we're waiting for an update, but we barge in and ask other questions. Right? Go ahead. All right,
yeah.
let's play this.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Hello, Nova. Yeah, we started. Hello, Nova.
Hello, how can I help you today?
Do you know how's the weather in Seattle today?
Hold on 1 second while I find the weather information for you.
And what time is it?
Hold on 1 second while I find the weather information for you. The current time is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026 at 23:53 and 31 seconds. As for the weather in Seattle today, it's partly cloudy with few clouds. The temperature is about 52 degrees Fahrenheit, and it feels like 50.56 degrees. The humidity is at 68%, and there is a wind speed of about 8 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's a quick one, right? So as we described earlier, so this is like a little nested tool calling. The second one come back early, and then you get the first two result come back. And in sequence, you can see the first two call triggered was, no, not this one. The first two triggered was get a slow tool, which is getting weather.
Hmm.
And then it takes time, right? So before the result come back, we trigger the second two, which is get day two, which is current daytime. And you can see the second two result come back right away. So you hear Sonic responded, the current time is blah, blah, blah. And then the first two result come back with weather information. And you hear Sonic talk about the weather, right? So it's a oversimplified sample to show you the asynchronous tool calling. And in many use cases, it can be very useful, right? So it no longer blocking the conversation and all the complexity managed by Novasonic.
Excellent. Great demo there. Um, all right. So let's switch gears, and let's talk about some code here and how do we build those agents, right? So this is the GitHub repository. I'm going to put the link to the repository. It's also in the description of the video that you're watching. So please take a look at that. I'll put this in chat as well.
Yeah. So Noasonic is it's a foundation model. You can build an application to serve different purpose. The workshop sample application I showed on the screen is the source code is available under the Amazon Nova sample repo on GitHub, and I'll just share the link. So under the speech to speech, there's a workshop folder, and then there is a conceptual diagram shows you usually how you build application with Noasonic. So in this application, we have two components. One is a Python server. It's like a proxy server you can launch as an application daemon running on a server. So it offers the WebSocket or WebRTC connection over the internet, and then build a persistent connection with Noasonic. So this is the Python server. From here, we also monitor the events back and forth, and then use it to manage the to-use trigger, right? So whenever it detects there's a to-use events triggered, it will make a call to get the data and then send it back to Sonic. Another component is in this case, is a website. It's a React front-end application. So what it does is, because it's a browser, it's static application loaded to your device. In this case, it's browser. And then when the application started, make a WebSocket connection to the Python web server application. So that's simplify the architecture, how this application work. And if you want to see details how this being built, you can just refer into this GitHub repo to see the source code. This is the most transparent way to build an application with Noasonic. We are using the Python SDK offered by AWS Amazon Bedrock, so which offers the streaming interface directly working with Noasonic, and you can see all the events going back and forth between your application and Noasonic, which has a little learning curve. We find it's more suitable, for example, for telephone integration. You're integrating Noasonic with your contact center, which has a voice a layer on top. For example, it can be Amazon Connect, it can be Genesis, it can be Twilio, Vonage, those type of telephone integration with a SIP integration. Direct using the raw SDK interface is most suitable because it could give you the full transparency and the full control. But for voice agent builder, usually we're seeking for simpler user interface, right? So you want to build a voice agent in the agent style. So this is leading to another example we want to share today is the Strands BidiAgent. Like for users familiar with Strands agent, one of the key features is offers a very intuitive programming interface, right? So within a few lines of code, you're able to build an agent quickly. So you just define the system prompt, the tools, right? So and then launch it. You have a agent ready to use. So the Strands BidiAgent is designed following a similar programming style. So you can see, we're going to share the link in the chat as well. So this is another GitHub repo for Strands agent sample code. So you can see to build a Strands agents with Noasonic is very simple, right? So this is literally the code snippet you need to use to create a bidirectional streaming agent, right? So it's basically using the BidiAgent from Strands. And then for model, you can provide a configuration. So in this case, the region, the model ID, version 1, version 2, and also you can provide a configuration for the audio, like sample rate, and then configure the tools in a similar way as how you define the Strands agents and then system prompt, and then just launch it as a WebSocket. It's up and running.
So to build the voice agent, that's all it takes, right? So just look at that lines of code. That's literally probably like what 10 to 15 lines of code there, almost or maximum. Yeah. But that's how easy to get started to build those voice agents. I know there's questions in the chat on how do you build those agents, but that's a very quick and easy way to get started there.
Yeah, Strands agent is also open source, right? So if you want to see the code, how it's being implemented, there's a GitHub repo available. You can see.
And then one more question in the chat, Lana, about the RAG support for Novasonic, right? So can you speak about that?
The RAG support is like circle back to our sample repo from Novasonic. The RAG support is mostly through the tool use, right? So because early when we go back to this, because you can trigger a tool calling, like based on the question. So for example, we have one of the sample is like you can have a RAG system index a document. For example, I have a user guide for Nova, Amazon Nova, introduce sharing all the detail about the Nova foundation models. You can index it into a vector database and make it available through the RAG, right? For example, Amazon Bedrock knowledge base. And then it's more like an integration call you can make based on triggered by the tool use, right? So for example, you can define a tool which is in this case is system time, but you can say this is get a RAG, right? So you can define the name, and then when your application receiving the events like get RAG, and then you can just make an API call to the using the Boto3 library, for example, if you're using Python to call the knowledge base to retrieve, sending the information saying what is Novasonic, and then retrieving the information back from from the Bedrock knowledge base, and then sending it back to Sonic through the tool result. It's the same pattern because Sonic doesn't really care where this information come back. It's your application make a decision which one you want to integrate, right? So it can be RAG, it can be API, it can be database call, it can be agentic call.
Excellent.
And then in the sample application, for example, we have multiple samples, but if you're referring to the workshop workshop code under the Python server, there's integration, and it does come with Bedrock knowledge base integration. So it has a RAG sample you can referring to. Addition to that, like you can also refer to like MCP integration, Strands agent integration, and also AgentCore integration, etc.
So yeah, we didn't touch on MCP integration yet, but as you can see, as Lana is pointing out there, Novasonic, the voice speech-to-speech tool here that you're using, Novasonic supports integration with MCPs, which means that you're expanding the ability for Novasonic to be able to do certain actions that you would like to have, right? And maybe we can expand on that as well as the agentic integration there, Lana.
Absolutely. So there is a blog post should be useful for this type of discussion. So I'm just pulling it out.
Yeah.
So it's like multi-agent is a popular topic for Novasonic. This is one of the blog posts, and we'll share the link in the chat. So it shows you the conceptual diagram, right? So because when, for example, especially for contact center type of use case, you have a voice agent manage a conversation, and usually there's a very predefined flow you want the agent to follow, right? So this one is to showing an example of a banking agent, right? So you have a inbound call, the customer calling. First step, you was greeting, right? So what's your name? And then use their name through the conversation. And then you want to do authenticate, right? So what's your account ID? So make sure the user is a valid user before proceed to the other inquiries. And then based on the questions, you can do intent classification type of prompting using tool, right? So for example, if customer asking my account balance, then you dispatch it to the banking agent. So the banking agent is a specialized agent, manage all the banking related requests. And then if customer asking about what is my refinance option, then you know it's a mortgage related question. So you can dispatch it to a mortgage agent, which is specialized in that domain, right? So this is blog post show you the high level concept, and then also with sample application you can find out on GitHub. And then like Anil mentioned, so this integration, it can be, in this case, we're using AgentCore runtime as an example. So it has a reasoning capability, but it really, there's no constraint where you deploy your sub agent, what framework you use to write this framework. and what large language model you use to do the reasoning for this sub-agents, right? So it's your choice. And also it can be just, may not need to be an agent. It can be just an API call, or it can be a call, you're calling a rack system on AWS or on your own preferred mechanism.
Right. So I have the link in the chat for you to look at the blog here. So please go ahead and do that. All right. So what next, Lana?
All right. Next is we can show you a demo for Strands Agent, right? So we talked about a Strand Agent. It helps you to simplify the implementation to build a Noah Sonic application, but it's actually conceptual. You can think it's like a high-level SDK. So it's wrapping on top of the raw implementation of Noah Sonic. So offer a much simplified and encapsulated programming interface, help you to simplify the application logic. And it's not only support Noah Sonic, but also support the other popular providers, including OpenAI and Gemini. So in the GitHub repo, you can find more samples from the other provider. And then I can show you a quick demo for build based on the Strands agent, right? So show you using the same interface and talk to different models under the hood. So let me refresh it. So the first one would be Noah Sonic. Hello, Nova.
Hello there. Great to hear from you. How can I assist you today? Whether you need help with a math problem, some advice, or just want to chat, I'm here for you.
What is 21 times 6?
21 times 6 equals 126. So 21 multiplied by 6 is 126.
It's a dummy question. The reason I'm asking that because this demo comes with a calculator as a tool. So it doesn't really calculate using the reasoning model by itself. It's actually make a tool call to the calculator tool to do the call. And on the right side is a similar design. You can see the raw events, but comparing with Noah Sonic, Noah Sonic has more events, right? So you get more granular control on what exactly going back and forth between your application and Noah Sonic. Strands has a level of abstraction, so it simplified those events. So if you're dealing with Noah Sonic native SDK, you may need to manage around 20 events. But with Strands agents, there's much less. There's only, like, for example, the audio input, the transcription, response start, like 4 to 5 events. So it's much simpler user interface. So it's your choice, right? So if you just want a quick start, build a voice agent, Strands BidiAgent is a good choice because it offers much simpler interface. But if you're building like more sophisticated application, for example, telephone integration, maybe you will prefer to work with a native interface.
Yeah, we can see how quickly we can get started with the BidiAgent code, and I'll drop a link to the Strands page as well, so you can check the sample code from there and get started.
Yeah, so the best way to learn is to build, right? So as we always say. And also the benefit is the same programming interface you can use to connect to the other providers like Gemini and OpenAI. So let's try Gemini quickly. Hello, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Gemini.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you for asking. I hope you're having a good day too. Is there anything I can help you with today?
I'll pause it, right? So the conversation can go on and on. You can launch the sample application, test it yourself, but you can see the events interface are the same, right? So you can reuse the same code, just launch agent with a different model, and therefore having conversation with different provider. And
so we have a question also in the chat, Lana, and this is coming from Sarah. So she says, can you ask it to lower or increase volume mid conversations? Example, you ask it to whisper if you're whispering, right? So can you do that?
Yeah, so it's more like conversation style and the tune, right? So the simplest way for when working with Noah Sonic, for example, the simplest way to do it is just through the system prompt. right? So for example, we have a few template. The one I used for demo is a very simple prompt. It shows like you are friendly, you are friends, and then you just have a casual conversation, right? So you will hear Sonic talk in certain way. We also have some other template, for example, customer service. In that case, you wanna the voice sounds more professional, right? So less casual. So that's how you do it. And you can try the instruction to say whisper. I don't know exactly if it will work. I didn't try it out myself, but you can just go ahead and give it a try. Yeah, coming back to the Strands agent demo. So we just showed the Novasonic Gemini. Third one will be the OpenAI real time, right? So same programming interface, just switch the model under the hood. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well, thank you. How about you?
Are you from OpenAI?
Yes, I'm powered by OpenAI. I'm here to help with whatever you need.
All right, I'll end here, right? So you can see how we switch model easily using the Strands agent, same code, just different model. For details, you can referring back to this Strands by the agent sample, right? So it comes with samples for all the different providers, right? So this is more Strands agents. We will introduce it to the customer. It's mostly SDK, right? So it help you to write a code easily and with a unified interface supporting multiple providers. We also have a new feature announced at December during reInvent last year was AgentCore bidirectional streaming, right? So AgentCore.
Tell us about that, right? So AgentCore, what are we doing with AgentCore here?
Yeah, another hot topic, right? So I know a lot of our audience love AgentCore. So let's get to it, right? So what is AgentCore bidirectional streaming, right? So we have Strands BidiAgent, we have Sonic, we have AgentCore. What AgentCore does in this place? So usually when I referring to it, I will say you can refer to AgentCore runtime bidirectional streaming as the deployment option, right? So because you have your application, you have your WebSocket server, you have your client application, you need you can just launch it on your local desktop to test it out. It works seamlessly. But when you do a POC or in production, you need to find a server to host it, right? So one common recommendation is to deploy this type of WebSocket server on container, for example, AWS ECS or EKS or bare metal EC2, right? So build a load balancer on top. That's the most.
But then that means that you're also managing the infrastructure. You're doing a lot of care and feeding, monitoring the environment, and ensuring that it's up and running, right? So yeah.
Absolutely. So that's additional infrastructure and a container. You need to make sure you have the in-house talent and resource to do it. So AgentCore bidirectional streaming is more you can think is like a manage the container service, help you to easily deploy those voice agents, right? So like this architecture diagram is very simple, it's conceptual, right? So basically deployment-wise, if you're referring to the sample code, which we will share the link, is you prepare a Docker file, which is define the container of your voice agent application, for example, Novasonic, and then just deploy it to AgentCore. And then AgentCore offers this WebSocket connection to your device. So your device can connect to AgentCore runtime bidirectional streaming directly. Therefore, you don't have to save the hassle to managing the container service infrastructure.
So AgentCore runtime will get your POC into production. I think that's the goal of AgentCore runtime here, right? So you build your voice agent, you test it out, and when it comes to deploying the agent and serving, your user base, whether it's 100 or 1,000 or whole lot more, and that's where runtime comes in, and it's going to make it as a managed offering, managed service to be able to host your voice chatbots.
Yeah, like reducing depends on how familiar you are with containers, reducing the time from days, weeks to hours to launch it on AgentCore bidirectional streaming. And also additionally, you not only just get a host service, right? So AgentCore by itself offers a lot of rich functionality suitable for agentic workflow. So you can integrate the telemetry, the memory, short-term, long-term memory, MCP server integration, etc. Right, so everything is coming within the same service.
Yeah, and I'm including a link to AgentCore playlist in general, like a deep dive playlist that you can check it out later, which will give you insight into how AgentCore functions. But we'll look at now, Novasonic on AgentCore here.
Yeah, amazing. So yeah, so the similar the demo for AgentCore will be very similar. It just instead of connecting to a WebSocket server on my local host, I'm connecting to the WebSocket server from AgentCore runtime, right? And then you can find more samples in this GitHub repo, and Anil shared in the chat. I know there's a lot source code we shared. Voice agent is a builder application in nature. So and then you can find a sample. It comes with a Sonic like native SDK sample. So if you want to just deploy the WebSocket server using the native agent Novasonic SDK, this is where you can find it. So it offers a greater transparency. And then if you want to try out the Strands agents, right? So which is much simpler, you can just referring to the sample in the under the Strands sample. It also comes with Echo, which is just a test. Like you make sure you have the connection and authentication in place. For more instruction, just referring to the README file in the repo.
So I know, Lana, you're a specialist and you deploy these voice chatbots all the time, right? So, but for somebody to get started using Strands Agent and AgentCore, how long would it take for them to spin up a voice chatbot agent like the one that you're showing us with the sample code that you have?
Right. So with sample code, it's much easier, right? So you just follow the instruction and launch the application on your local environment and then try it out. It can be a few. Depends on, right? So there's some dependency. For example, if you're new to Builder world, you may need to figure out install the, for example, the proper type Python version. Make sure if you want to deploy to AgentCore, you need a Docker on your local laptop. But if you having experience with building applications, it should be
very quick. Yeah.
Very quick, an hour, 10 minutes, maybe.
There you go, folks.
Lucky.
Go ahead and try this out. All the samples are available. The descriptions are pretty clear and they're very descriptive, and the instructions are present to be able to help you deploy your chatbots, right? So cool. Now, what are we going next? I know we have a lot of items that you wanted to cover, Lana. So
absolutely happy to share our passion about a voice agent, right? So another thing is like start with sample codes is the easiest way for builders, right? So because you just launch it, try it out. And for AWS customers, we also offer instructor-led workshop, right? So reach your account team, and we can set up the environment and hold your hand through the process. Voice agent is an emerging field, right? So there's so many different patterns, different solution models available on the market, and it's very exciting journey, right? So to see all different approach to grow this type of application. One thing we have prepared is a easy way if you don't have an AWS account, right, or not an AWS customer yet, or you don't have access to AWS account. An easy way to try out Novasonic model and the other Nova model is to go to this nova.amazon.com, which is a public portal. You can log in using your Amazon account. So if you do shopping on Amazon, you can using the same account log into to this website, and then you can try out a different model. There's the Novasonic model is available here, right? So go to Speak, and then choose, for example, Nova 2 Sonic. You can just start to have a conversation, very similar as how I demoed early, and then switching different voice ID to try it out. It doesn't offer the full functionality. For full functionality or building complex POC, you will still need AWS Bedrock access, but this is a lighter way to try it out. And then it also offers access to the other Nova model, right? So for example, the text-based model and the multimodal model like Nova Lite, Omni Pro, MME, right? So there's a long list of collection models offered by Amazon Nova.
We have a question in the chat, and
Mhm.
1225 Maddie is asking, in case an agent needs to connect to multiple data sources, how can this be accomplished?
Yeah, so that is a little like application development architecture pattern discussion, like more like a brainstorming, right? So because you build the application on top of Sonic, so you can manage a lot of details by yourself. Because the way Sonic to interact with Sonic is through tool use, right? So basically, you can have, for example, two tools designed side by side. Like earlier, I have a weather tool and a date tool, right? And then your application listen to this tool based on different tool name. You can call different data source, right? So in theory, you have unlimited data source to integrate with Sonic, although that's not recommended, right? So you want to design your application wisely.
Great. So Lana, can you also speak about the telephony integration? I know that's a topic that you brought up earlier on, right?
Mhm.
So can you talk about the use cases for telephone integration?
Yeah,
Shortly?
telephony integration is a really one largest use case, right? So because for contact center, especially for industry like a financial institute like bank, mortgage, and the healthcare, right? So they manage large data center, and then using voice agent can help them to improve the quality and the scale, right? So to support uh, more customer calls alongside with human agent. So in this repo, like the Amazon Nova Sonic under speech to speech, we have a list of reference solution, right? So instead of sample code usually is generic, this is more designed for a real world integration. So one of them we are recommending for telephone integration is this VoIP gateway, right? So it shows the telephony integration with the audio encoding decoding as well as the SIP integration. So this is one sample you could refer to, and you can find more sample under the same folder.
So this is going to be a game changer, right? So to be able to integrate the actual calls and the entire call centers into Novasonic, right? So there are integrations that are out there.
Yeah. So for example, this one is available as a CDK package. It's a like CI/CD package. You can just launch it and deploy all the required service into your AWS account, and it's for the contact center use case. So it's not only deploy the telephone integration on the server side, but also come with a client application so you can test it out.
Great. And we have one more question in the chat. Can Novasonic be instructed to mimic emotions?
You can try it using the system prompt by giving it some instruction. But in general, Novasonic is usually performed more professionally, right? So because it's mainly for certain type of use case. And in the future, there will be more customization coming up.
Excellent. Yeah, there you go, folks. We touched on a number of features of Novasonic. We provided the links to all the code samples, deep dive videos, content, for AgentCore as well. So now it's time for you to play and build some of these voice chatbots, right? So there is, voice chatbots are next on the horizon that are going to be exploding in this space. And there's a lot of traction there and interest from folks. Lana, anything you want to add here?
That's it. Thank you for having me, and have fun, try it out, and building your own voice chat agent.
Great. All right. Thank you, folks, for another session of Show and Tell. We'll see you next week, same time. Until then, see ya.